1.1 million students, and this mayor made them all a
Academy. For Robert, if you want to get better at rhythm, you know, a really good thing you should and could do is play chords and just kind of comp for yourself and sing rhythms, right? So just and it doesn't have to be like intricate, just like no notes, like, you know, not like George Benson, but like 1 2 1 2 3 4 Right, and then like, you know, it kind of taps into that place in your mind that's improvising the rhythm, right? That's singing just the placement, and I'm just playing chords and following the form of the song. You don't even have to play it. You could just kind of do it with the backing track. I know it kind of sounds funny, but it's like it's good for you, you know, like it. Again, so it's not really that singing what you're playing, it's just kind of like tapping into that place in your mind that's improvising the rhythm, that's conjuring the rhythm over swing, over a tempo, right? And it's really the way that, like, you know, a swing drummer thinks about a drum solo, right? When you're trading fours or something. Right? So just coming up with melodic rhythms and a melodic way of playing rhythm. Hey John, how you doing? I think that's a helpful thing to do. Dude, Bloomberg is fucking investing billions in Facebook ads and targeting guitar playing Jews. Bloomberg is every commercial now. So Jorge, tips on connecting. So yeah, I do have tips. I think what you really need to do with jazz, a definition I've been playing around with in my mind and on the feed, is to learn jazz improvisation is to learn the mechanics of choice making through circular harmonic patterns that move in time. So it's talking about those circular harmonic patterns. And a form like nuage, the one I'm playing now, might be too big of a piece to bite into if you don't have a good concept of playing over circular harmonies, right? So think about, what does it mean to play over circular harmonies? It means that chords are going by, we measure them in measures, and there's like a size to that circle, to that loop of harmony that you're kind of playing through in time. So the size of nuage is 32 measures, right? That's a very big size if you don't know how to play over four. So the first thing, and if you trained yourself in a blues rock way, it's almost like you train yourself to ignore the form. What acoustic? Definitely this pickup, the CS sensor. It's the best by far, by far, by far. It's so good. And talk to Tommy Davey. He sells them at JangleGuitars.com. If you're playing a nylon string or whatever, just 1/4 inch plug, amazing pickup. I love it. I've tried all of them. This one's the best. Okay, so nuage, or not nuage, like anything. So the thing is, how do you learn to play on form? Well, shrink that harmonic circle to be very small and then grow from there, and only work on increments that are useful. So learn how to play on 1 measure of music, then learn how to play on 2 measures of music, then learn how to play on 4 measures of music, then learn how to play on 8 measures of music, then learn how to play on 12 measures of music, then 24, then 32. Now, why that number? Why not 1, 2, 3, 4? Well, there's no 3-bar forms almost in music. It happens, but it's rare. You want to practice what's useful. A 32-bar form is 4 8-bar phrases. That's how it's divided. That's how nuage is structured, right? A 12-bar blues is a 12-bar structure that's divided into 3 groups of 4 measures. So how do you do that? Well, set a metronome, always using my guide dogs when I blow through changes. Know your chord scales. Yeah, but you see, what you really want to get to is a place where you're moving through the harmony, and the harmony is marking time. That's what you need to remember about jazz. So a lot of the symmetry of the phrasing, right? Think about it like the form of a song is like how big your home is, and how that song is divided is how many rooms are in your home. So it's true that a 12-bar blues is 12 measures long. Each one has 4 pulses, each measure. But it's not divided into 12 rooms. It's really divided into 3 4-bar rooms. And you need to learn how to phrase inside those, right? You have to be if you're playing nuage, it's really a 32-bar form, but it's divided into 4 8-bar phrases, right? If you're playing whatever, La Vie en Rose, it's a 20-bar form, but it's divided into 5 4-bar phrases. So what does it mean, those 4-bar phrases? So let's start with like a 2-bar phrase, right? Here's a 2-bar harmonic phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we call a vamp, right? 4 beats of G minor 6, 4 beats of A flat minor 6. Now, if I want to play through that moving thing in time, I got to be able to play G Dorian on this one and A flat Dorian on that one, right? 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, I can do that playing 8th notes, or I can take spaces on one of them. Whatever. Now, to make that a 4-bar phrase, I'm gonna space out, maybe play 2 measures of each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now I have more space to play. This is G minor, A flat. Now, how do I make that an 8-measure thing, right? Because now it's a looping 4-measure thing. An 8-measure thing would be like maybe replacing one of the chords with something else, like G minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, A flat minor, back to G minor, now to D7 for 2 measures. Now it's an 8-measure phrase. So the harmony marks the cycle, like the size of the cycle, right? Now, an 8-measure phrase doesn't sound like form yet. It sounds like a phrase. It sounds like a compartment, a room inside a house. 12-measure blues is really the smallest structure that sounds like a structure, right? That's why it's so popular. And what it really is, it's 3 4-bar phrases, right? Like if you take a 12-bar blues, phrase 1 would be... Phrase 2, plays 3. But they're just marking time, right? So, and if you're a blues rock player and you know that minor blues scale, you might use it as a crutch in the sense that since it gives you a blanket melodic tool that you can apply to all of them, you might just kind of disengage and lose your place in the form, which you don't necessarily want to do. So to keep your place in the form, maybe play over the same structure but replace it with unrelated chords. So maybe like have a G minor, 2, measure 3, measure 4, now an A flat minor for 2 measures, G minor for 2 measures. I'm just following the rate of change of a blues. B flat minor for a measure, A flat minor for a measure, G minor for a measure, and D7 for a measure. So it's like a 12-bar blues, but I'm just playing like these unrelated minor chords on it, right? Why? Well, because I can really now focus on rhythmically phrasing on these 3 4-measure rooms, right? 3 separate 4-measure units that make up the 12 measures. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That'd be like my melodic snare on room 1. Room 2. Now the turnaround, right? So now I really kind of made a rhythmic statement in 3 pieces, right? 4 measures, 4 measures, 4 measures. It's kind of call, response, or like question, question, answer type deal. And that's kind of the when you're phrasing over like that kind of structure, that would be like the most basic way that you can plan it, right? But now without Hey Terry. So again, just ideas of how to practice filling up that 12 measure space in a way that frees you from thinking about that pentatonic scale, and you're kind of more aware of just how the harmony frames time, right? Does that make sense? Probably not, but maybe it will start to one day. All right, let's play on Dark Eyes. Hey, Robbie. So somebody asked something on the YouTube. What'd you ask? Any tips for getting better at the feel of odd time signatures aside from 2/4, 3/4? Yeah, I mean, I think again, like we talked about in form, when you're talking about form, you're talking about the size of the room, right? The size of the rooms that make up the house. Now, the spaces that make up the room are inside the measure. And that's really something you want to work on, right? So if you're playing on, let's say, playing a song that you should practice 3, because 3 is playing in 3/4 is different than playing in 4/4. Meaning, if you're playing 8th notes, you have inside each one of those kind of basic units, the measure, you have 4 beats, and you can subdivide them in many ways, right? You can let's say 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you have 5, it's gonna be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and you're gonna have to get used to how that feels if you're playing over like a take 5 type of groove. You have to have an idea of how much is in there, right? So it's 10 notes if you're playing eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and now, if you're not comfortable with feeling how much is in there, then what's gonna happen to you is you're gonna try to really mark time with your lines. A lot of people play really like, and that gets really old. You don't play that way in 4. Think about how you're playing in 4, right? The way you play in 4 is you're so accustomed to how 4 beats going by feel like that you kind of have this as a skeletal knowledge under you, and then you paint around that, right? You just kind of syncopate, and it's like, 3, 4, go bing, go go, ga da da. Right. So if I'm playing like 1, 2, 3, 4, padidu didu, ba ba ba. But I'm not gonna play ta pa 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 da da di ba ba, right? Da do da. Rhythmically, if I do that just to kind of hold on to time, I'm gonna play really boring, obvious rhythms. And that's really how you play badly in odd time. So what you really need to do is just do some lick accounting. Take a blues or whatever form you know well, right? Or just a vamp, and really try to make things fit. Take two changes. Any tips on right hand in Gypsy style? Yeah, in a minute. But take 2 changes. Let's say 3, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and try to move eighth notes. See how many you have before the change. Right. I mean, help yourself. Do it slowly to where you can notice. Right hand stuff. So what you want to know with the right hand is a couple of things. If I started from scratch, it starts from the grip. You can't hold the pick tip to tip. You have to hold it with the tip of the thumb or the flesh of the thumb against the side of the index. If you hold it tip to tip, your angle is not going to be right with your wrist, right? So if you have that kind of grip on the pick like George Benson or Steve Morse or these kind of guys, you will not be able to play this style. So side of the index finger, that's the first thing. Second thing, it's recognizing this muscle that keeps the arm straight and learning how to let it go. Just not pushing it down, but just letting it go. Relaxation, lady hand, right? So once you can do that, you need to grab the guitar in a comfortable way and move that hand to where it's creating that plane. Now, the motion is identical to putting out a match. That's what you want to get to, right? Being able to put out the match. So the weight of the palm is like a paperweight, and it's a rotation of the arm bone with a loose wrist and this paperweight attached, right? Now, the other thing is the angle of the pick. So there's no angle side to side. It's hitting it at 90 degrees, but it's hitting it with a 45-degree slant forward. So straight on, meaning no side to side angle, but slant. You see that? Let the arm drop this way. So the idea is that it's always there's three parts to the motion. It's a wind, and then you cut through the string by letting it drop in a semicircle down through it. You see, it's hard to show it slow because you're cutting through the string and then resting. So wind, cut, rest. and the rest is where you're aiming to. You're aiming to the next string that's below it with every string, right? Now there are 3 basic strokes: the rest stroke, the upstroke, which is the reverse of the rest stroke, and the bounce, which is the half rest stroke, which is when you just play it and then you bounce your whole forearm up to be up in the air. Now the last thing I want to say about it is that when you're on one string, you alternate this way, but as you cross strings and change strings, you alternate from the elbow, right? So you move. This is the thing that gets you from string to string. This is the thing that gets you picking on the string. So it's a combination of this to get around, right? With this mechanics to pick, right? So when you're sweeping, you're moving from here, not from here, right? You want to keep the same angle of picking and move that way. So a sweep. So I'm using a very thick pick. This is a 2.5 millimeter Wiegand. Very thick picks for this stuff. A lot of people use 3.5s, which are good for this too. I wouldn't go under 1.5 for Gypsy. Hope that helps. Oh my God, Bloomberg again. Thanks so much, Eskil. I love the CS. Any advice of anybody trying to get to my level? Um, you got to take it seriously. You know, I mean, I think that's the only thing it comes down to. You gotta be very careful with how you spend your time. You know, and you gotta spend your time doing the things that are interesting to you, so it's possible. You know what I mean? Um, if you don't go after the things that are interesting to you, and you go, after something like the impression of what made me who I am, then you're gonna miss a lot of the point. So what you really wanna go after are your problems one by one, not the illusion of where I'm at, because I'm not even going to be where I'm at in a year, because I'm in motion. The point is you need to want to change. So stop playing video games for sure. Probably stop doing drugs. If you're into weed, weed is terribly destructive. I'm sorry to tell all of you stoners, but it's a horribly destructive thing. Just not in terms of like what it does for your health and all that stuff, but for your time. It's just a huge time suck, and you need your time. The time is the thing that like you know you're not gonna get back. Don't drink a lot. Practice a lot. I mean, it's just practicing. I mean, but it's practicing your problems, right? So you need to be problem solving your shit every day, like just trying to piece together a huge puzzle and seeing what your specific uh, places that the things that are blocking you are, and just one step at a time. And you need to this constant thing of just looking down at your feet and seeing like where you are and where the next step is, and just take it and make every day about taking that one baby step towards your goal. And that's it. But look in your life and see what are the things that are stopping you from doing that. Maybe there's some preliminary work that you need to do, right? It's like some Jordan Peterson shit, like making your bed, making sure that you're in a clean environment, making sure that you have enough money to eat, right? I don't know what your situation is. You gotta get your life in order to create some sort of healthy practice. Maybe there's too much chaos in your life and there's other things to address. I don't know. Everybody comes with a different bag. Everybody has their own set of challenges. Did you quit smoking and notice a big difference? Um, yeah, I mean, I stopped smoking weed a long time ago. I smoked a lot of weed when I was in high school, and then would have like phases here and there. And yeah, man, it's just, I mean, it's fun, but like you can't do serious work on yourself in that headspace. It's just, I don't see how it would ever be possible, because you have to wake up the same person every day. You know what I mean? And you can't just, you have to feel good in the morning. So I mean, again, it just depends on it depends on who you want to be when you grow up. You know what I mean? Because it's the problem with narcotics is that they make you feel good without the work, right? And the the truth about practicing and becoming good is that you want to feel bad until you're good. I don't mean like horribly depressed, but I mean aware, right? Aware enough of your level, aware of your problems, not like, oh man, it's okay, or like change your perspective and be like, ooh, like, I don't know if that sounds, I kind of like when it's out of tune, kind of like when it's out of time. It sounds different, right? So, do I view gypsy chops and electric chops as totally different disciplines? I did for a very long time, but What inspires me a lot? Small local shows and open mic nights. Cool. I did view them as separate techniques for a while, but now they are integrating more and more and more and more. Um, when I'm playing electric, I have to damp, right? So it's like acoustic guitar is like you can get away with just having no right hand or left hand muting. It's mostly right hand muting for electric, so your wrist has to be down, but down in the Malmsteen way. So you still maintain a little bit of that gypsy motion, meaning if your palm is kind of sideways on the guitar and there's still some sort of side to side motion in the picking, right? Not so much that, but sometimes that too, right? Uh, but yeah, it's totally different. Totally different motion. But I see them kind of complementing each other now. So I'll play some passages with my wrist up and then come back and control it. So things, let's see. All right. Oh.
He ran a city home to 8 million
Jesus! Is Bloomberg like the only guy on YouTube now? Robert asks if I have any advice on building a practice regime. First of all, the word regime reminds me of Saddam Hussein. So I would never do to myself something that has the word regime in it. It's like a dictatorship, and I don't treat myself like a dictator treats a kingdom. So I think something about it might even sound funny when I say it, but I mean that in the most serious way possible. Think about practice regimen. That's like that. That's like this whole thing. The regimen, regime. It's coming from the same word, right? So it's the idea, the concept behind it, to regiment your time, right? It's a very bad kind of mind space to be in, right? I would think about it more like, how would you like to spend your day? Is the first question, and the second question would be like, do you know the difference between practicing and playing, and are you practicing, right? Like that's the question that I like to ask myself. Am I working on something? Am I working on something that is somehow related to the problems I'm having with music, right? So if the answer is yes, then keep working, right? If the answer is I'm just playing and wasting my time, again, play when you play, practice when you practice. Don't play when you practice, don't practice when you play. I think that's kind of like that's my stance on it. And since you're the one designing your day, like, we all know the feeling of like making ourselves do, you know, a 10-hour practice day once, and then like being traumatized by it and never repeating that for a month. That's not constructive, right? So you got to get in something that's possible within the framework of your life, but also that you can kind of, you know, do consistently and repeatedly throughout time. And that's up to your, you know, your specific situation in your life. But if you're in a pattern of problem solving and you yourself are the canvas, right, for the problem solving, not your idea of how I play or something, listening to yourself, then you stand a chance to get better. I think a really good example is when you try to learn something that you think is like, you know, too technical, too fast for you, right? There's two schools of thought. One of them is like the popular one, which is, you know, which is true to an extent, which is cranking the metronome slowly, right? You practice a passage, and then next day, till you can get it faster and faster and faster gradually. Thanks, Dougal. But what Sean Lane said, which I think has a lot of truth to it, is that he'll play something the fastest he can and then clean it up, as opposed to build up to it. Now, think about what that means. There's something very different. Like, it's true that rhythms slow, incrementally fast, you know, sped up equal fast rhythms. But motions are not the same like that and like that, right? There's something about the nature of the motion that's its own thing at a fast tempo. And you gotta, at a certain point, try to put it on the fretboard. If it's an Yngwie Malmsteen kind of thing, where it just kind of like swims up the neck, at a certain point, you're gonna have to confront how you do that, how you do the motion on the guitar. And maybe it sounds like absolute nothing, right? Maybe, but that's your way of doing it currently at whatever, 300 BPM. But you gotta do it, right? It's like you got, at a certain point, you're gonna have, if you wanna ever play giant steps at 300 BPM, you're gonna have to try. So you need to get into this place where you confront the things you can't do and make that pathetic, noodly mess in, you know, a reality, and then work on cleaning that up, right? Work on surviving that situation, like reverse engineer the process. And if you don't, then you're never going to get to these places because you don't have the balls and the courage to just be sloppy. You're too in control. You're too orderly. You're not willing to dip your feet in this amount of chaos to see what's in there. But what's in there is how you do it now, right? And you got to confront how you are doing that at the absolute worst. And then, you know, over time, make that, you know, whatever it ends up being. This is an Eastman DM2. Eastman gave me like an artist deal on it. I just bought it. But if you want a guitar, I recommend talking to Tommy Davey at djangoguitars.com. Tell him I sent you. And he is so knowledgeable. He sets everything up himself and he's great at it. And he does these pickup installations. And my DM2 did not play well, but I took it to Tommy and he did some Gypsy magic to it. And it sounds a whole lot better now. Still not a perfect guitar, but much better than what I had going. Bobby. All right, guys, I gotta go teach. See you later.